Hi, yeah, it's Jackie here with the LGFA, and we're on a call today kicking off the new year 2024, although we are recording pre-Christmas. So we're looking at a theme of winter ball, keeping motivation and focus in the winter months. So I have three special guests to delve a little deeper into all of this. Eilish Ward is the LGFA's Head of Player Development. I have Lisa Finnegan from Kilkerrin-Clonberne and Galway, and Shannan McQuade, who is from Fermanagh. Shannan, you were captain in 2023 as well, so a natural leader, if I may suggest. How are you all folks today?
All good, Jackie?
Okay, yeah.
Good. Eilish, you might talk viewers through exactly what we're going to go through over the next little while, if you don't mind.
Of course, yeah. So we're delighted, obviously, to have Lisa and Shannan on the call today. And I suppose we're just going to focus on, obviously, yeah, these winter months are a lot colder. They're a lot harder for players, I think, to get out of the house and keep training or go to training. And obviously the two girls here on the call are at different stages of the season. So whether you're playing club or county football, I suppose we're just going to look around. How do you keep motivated at this time of year? Some of the barriers or some of the limitations will be the same, but equally, whether you're the end of your season, just finished the season, or whether you're kind of coming into the new season, I suppose how you kind of keep yourself focused, whether you're intrinsically or extrinsically motivated. And yeah, it's great to have the two girls on the call here today to give us their own personal experiences with that. Absolutely,
and feel free to pop in at any time throughout the conversation as well, Eilish, given your vast knowledge and expertise in this area also. So without wanting to confuse viewers once again, Eilish, I'm gonna preface this by saying that as we record, Lisa is looking forward to an All-Ireland club final on Saturday with Kilkerrin-Clonberne. But by the time you watch this, we'll know the result of that. So if that makes sense to people who are tuning into today's show, so it would be remiss of me, Lisa, not to wish you all the best for Saturday, and very much in keeping with the overall theme. I'm sure motivation isn't a problem as we speak right now.
No, no, really, really excited about it. It's a very exciting time. Yeah, once we got over the last game, the semi-final, you still have the nerves, but the excitement is unbelievable. Yeah, it's class. So looking forward to it. Getting back to Park again, sure, it's another motivator.
Absolutely, and you're a player that's used to long seasons with county and club, Lisa. So is it somewhat of a release to go back to your club after the exertions of inter-county, albeit Kilkerrin-Clonberne operate at an extremely high standard as well? Is there differences between the two, Lisa?
Yeah, well, I think the demands of inter-county would have been different. Like, obviously training is very intense in both setups. I suppose with inter-county you have the commitment of your group gym sessions, your pitch sessions having to be there as a collective all the time. With club, the intensity, to be honest, the last 2 years training is the hardest training I think I've ever done in my life. Now, a lot of different contributors to that, getting a bit older and that, but I think you have a bit more flexibility when it comes to getting your own gym in and things like that. Obviously you're not traveling as far, so I find the demands are not as much, not as bad time-wise, you know. Okay. Yeah, and myself, I know, like, teaching, I'm job sharing this year, so being able to get my gym in on a Monday morning, you wouldn't have that flexibility really, I find, a lot of the time with the inter-county setup. I don't know if it's different for everyone else, but yeah, you can kind of have a bit more time to yourself to get those bits done.
Okay, which is a nice segue over to Shannan. Shannan, what are you doing with yourself off the field of play, and how does that contribute to being able to train at an extremely high level?
Well, we're extremely lucky. We have a good S&C coach with us this year, so we're in the gym 2-3 times a week, and obviously this time of the year the training's quite heavy, so a lot of recovery and stuff in between. And I definitely I'm the same as Lisa now. I think in years gone by I probably would never have been sore and I could have ran forever, but definitely feeling it in the body now. So yeah, recovery is like a massive probably part of my pre-season at the minute.
Okay, what do you do for a living, Shannan?
I'm PE teacher.
Okay, so we have two teachers on the call. Excellent. So does that lend itself to having that bit of time to get done what you need to do as an elite athlete, Shannan?
Yeah, definitely. probably maybe I'm nearly stretching with the girls maybe when I am when I am taking the lessons, and maybe it's easier for me to maybe relate with them, to explain what I'd done the night before and what I have to do then that evening. But yeah, I get away from school a wee bit earlier. I'm able to nearly get my maybe session done or my recovery done nearly before anybody's else maybe is leaving their work maybe in the evenings. But yeah, it helps maybe the hours definitely.
What does Christmas and New Year look like for you, Shannan? Do you get to have that bit of downtime? Or are you conscious of just, keep ticking over at the same time?
Yeah, well, this year we have new management in, so they've kind of took a new approach to it where we're going like kind of hell for leather at the minute, and then once it comes Christmas, we're getting a full break. Me personally, I probably will be doing stuff just to keep ticking over. During it, I just find that I nearly feel better going back into it, after doing all the work, just to keep it ticking. And
yourself, Lisa, after the club final, what way will you approach Christmas time? There'll obviously be a little bit of time to let your hair down, but then thoughts turn very quickly to 2024 and what lies in store there.
Yeah, I'll be looking to rest anyway. That's for sure. I have 2 small boys here at home, so Christmas time is just going to be about them. Taking that time with them, and then in the new year, for myself, to be honest, we go back in about March time, starting off with a combination of gym and pitch sessions. So I kind of try to use that time between January and March to do something different. Just in the last few years, going from inter-county into club, it's a lot, and playing for the length of time that I've been playing, it's nice to try different things. So I like to go for the likes of yoga and Pilates and things like that. Really important, I think, for women in sports especially. So that's kind of where I try to do in the new year. That's what I'm hoping to do in the new year. Yeah. I have in the past done a bit of road running and stuff like that, but it hasn't really helped me. It's kind of been more of a problem maker than a problem solver. So I'll probably avoid that and go for some gentler work.
The road running, and I've done a fair bit of it. It's tough on the body, isn't it?
Yeah. Very hard, yeah. As much as you try to do your best, you get the right runners, you get on the right nutrition, all that, it's very hard in the body. I found myself it's very, very hard, and you see these problems come up then when you go back to the pitch. You don't necessarily see them happening straight away. It's when you go back to your pitch sessions that the problems arise.
There is nothing better though than getting out for a long run, Lisa, but at the same time you're better off probably going on a softer surface like grass. Would that be fair? But then again, where are you going to get that perimeter or that area to get in the length that you want to get in?
Yeah, we're looking now at Clonberne. The community council have a big development on there now with a little bit of a track around the pitch. It's a bit softer. It's not like your it's a township. It's a bit softer to run on. So we have that. But yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard to get out. You need to get the boots on and get to the pitch. I find it's a tough one because it is lovely to clear the head, do something different, put the earphones in, or the AirPods in or whatever. But yeah, it's probably something I'll probably avoid next January, I think, this year.
Okay, and 2 small kids as well. Fair play. I mean, that's an extra a couple of balls to be juggling in the air as well. Yeah, how do you manage that?
Grand. This year isn't so bad. Like I said, I'm job sharing this year, so it's a bit more flexible working around their schedules, and things like that. Last year was very demanding, working full time and training and that. I've noticed the stress load is a lot lower this year, thank God. But yeah, my husband, sure, he's great help to me. The 2 of us were playing up until about September, October time, so it was manic enough. But once his season finished, the pressure was off. Unfortunately for him, but very fortunate for me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it made things a lot easier at home.
Eilish, anything you're picking up on there from Lisa and Shannan? They're fascinating insights into this time of the year, particularly.
Yeah, I think it's just really interesting. The girls are obviously at very different stages of their season, but
yes.
Even picking up on, I suppose, how you manage that over the Christmas. And I know for Lisa, obviously she's a really big match at the weekend, but and is probably looking forward to a bit of downtime over the other side of that. I'm quite interested, Lisa, for you. You mentioned around Croke Park and obviously the All-Ireland final, and that's obviously a huge extrinsic motivation. There's probably no bigger motivation for any player in our sport. But how you know, I know it's a long way off yet, and you mentioned March. Like, how do you kind of pick yourself up again off the back of that? You kind of starting back at the start of the journey in some ways. Then, you know, once you're kind of you get into January and February, and I think as players sometimes we get a bit antsy at that stage, don't we? Even no matter what we achieve. So how do you deal with that?
For myself, I suppose in the past, I have gone back late in the season. I remember one year in particular when I was in McGalway, I felt like I needed a break and a longer break. And I took January, but like I have come to realize in the last few years the effects of not exercising on my mental health as well. And like it's a massive contributor for me. Getting out, clearing my head, and just meeting the girls. Like I think in the early stages in the year, you have to take it for what it is. It's a long time for championship. So looking towards things like that, it's good for the head, and meeting your friends and just seeing it as a social thing, social outlet. That was one big thing for me. I suppose, especially since having kids, and you know, when I had my kids, it was at the start of COVID, and we were isolated for so long, and especially at home with two kids, it was really tough. So I think I've seen the benefits of the training for myself personally. I find that really important. When it comes to the training, then like it is so hard. I remember going back training like in between Christmas and New Year's, and it's just miserable. It's really tough. So weird. But I suppose having motivators like matches, you know, the league coming up early in the season, February, March time, that would be a big target for me. That was a big target for me in the past, when I was training with Intercounty setup. So looking forward to the matches and small little contributors into that, like little things to be taken off, any improvements in my performance at that time. But yeah, like I said, the main thing for me will be mental health, because January and February can be a very tough time. If you're not training, it can be very, very hard on your head.
Yeah, absolutely. No, great points. Yeah, absolutely, Eilish, and well said, Lisa. And it's an important message, and it's a good time to be kind of hammering home the message as we come into the new year of the importance of exercise for mental health. I think it's a massive thing. Shannan, for yourself, you've obviously been on I hate to say it, both sides of the coin in terms of All-Ireland finals and the heartbreaks and the joy. Having got close again to a final this year, does that increase the motivation going into a new season? And second to that question, when you get to the summit and you win a junior title, does that blunt it a little bit coming into the new year, or is the motivation to do well in intermediate? If you follow the question, can it be kind of differ in some ways from year to year, depending on what you've achieved in the previous season, perhaps?
Yeah, no, definitely. The way you finished maybe the previous year, can lead to different probably motivation going into the following year. This year we had ended in the semi-final, the All-Ireland, with just a point. I actually was sick. I had a lung infection, so I didn't even get playing. So I think even like at that stage, I was itching already to get back.
Yeah.
You know, thinking I hadn't got, you know, the opportunity to actually do what I'd wanted to do. You know, I hadn't got even the goal of trying to even play the semi-final to see if I even would have made a difference. But yeah, I was kind of, when we were so close to them, and then we had played down in the Ulster final as well that year, and obviously down won last year, the All-Ireland. So we were so tight with them in the Ulster final that, you know, it was always like a maybe that we were so close to that it was reachable. So I think coming out of the end of last year, it was, you know, we knew that it was doable, that we were able to get there. And we have a lot of people maybe back now from that maybe had left in previous years that will strengthen the team now this year. So it's very exciting that we were so close to it last year, and then we've added now to the team that we can maybe hopefully go all the way this year. And yeah, probably in previous year where we had won All-Ireland, I think like well, when I first played, we were in intermediate, and my second year we'd actually got to the intermediate All-Ireland final. And you know, I think it was exciting, you know, winning that and getting into the intermediate then after the junior and starting that year. That, I don't know, I feel like I wanted to go out and prove ourselves that we were an intermediate team and we were capable of staying up, and that we were able to compete with other teams. So that was complete different motivation probably than what I will be going into this year. That their previous year, I wanted to kind of prove ourselves that we were able to stay up that level. But yeah, I think hopefully that's answered.
No, I mean, you must have serious fuel, particularly after missing the semi-final, Shannan, and with the players back as well. And, that feeling, you've summed it up perfectly, that feeling that we would have been right there with Down as well. That is some sauce coming into the new year.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think we'd assumed then, when maybe we had predicted maybe that Down was going to win it then once we were knocked out, and maybe helped us to know that when we were so close to Down, we'd met them a right few times, friendlies and stuff like that. So to know that we were so close, yeah, it's probably maybe exciting now going into with especially not even just old players, we have new players on the panel, younger players. So it's exciting going into this year now.
And it's and we've touched on it in a previous edition, Shannan, as one of the more experienced players on the panel. You can play a big role when new players come in and help them to feel welcome. And I suppose at the same time, you're conscious of focusing on your own training and your own preparation. How do you balance all of that as one of the leaders of the squad, to ensure that everybody else is okay, but to ensure first and foremost, and players are selfish in a very good way, that you're getting the best out of yourself, and that you can reach a stage where you can assist and contribute to the team?
I think obviously with new players like probably coming onto the panel, I was once there and I know how it felt, so I'm able to relate with them, and kind of feel like I know what they're going through. But sometimes just be able to boost them on, and I know like these dark, cold nights going out and training, sometimes I've had a bad day and I'm maybe lacking motivation coming in myself, and you see that other players on the team are stepping up and they're motivating you, and maybe takes just that one person maybe to say it, and it boosts you as well. So I kind of probably always have that in my head, that people mightn't be going through the best day sort of thing, and just that maybe pat on the back or a bit of encouragement or a bit of crack just will help them kind of along the way, and that's definitely like helped me as well. And yeah, kind of maybe positively talking to myself throughout as well.
Okay, positive self-talk, very important. I mean, you talked about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation, positive self-talk, another big part of sports psychology as well, Eilish, and it all feeds into the feel-good factor. And if you're, as Shannan says, if you're feeling a bit off, maybe you might not feel like going training, but when you do go and put in a hard session, you generally feel good about yourself afterwards.
Yeah, 100%. I think sometimes I don't know if the two girls will agree, but sometimes the hardest thing is just getting out the door in the first place. And I think yeah, I was really interested there when Shannan was talking. Like obviously, losing All Ireland semi-final, but obviously not even getting to play on a personal level due to sickness is obviously something that's going to be hugely motivational, sorry, for you, I'm sure, in the next year. But how do you? Sometimes those things seem so far away then, in the course of the season now for 2024. So how do you cope with that when there's more of an immediate barrier? I think it's a different story maybe if you're going to a group session or you're going to a county session, because in those cases you have to show up. But it's the bits and pieces, like I'm sure you guys, the two of you are both doing loads of stuff individually as well, that isn't within the group setup. So how easy is it to motivate yourselves in those sorts of scenarios when it's you that's just, you're the only person that I suppose really knows if you're doing the work? Like Shannan, maybe go to you first just on that, because obviously you mentioned about that first.
Yeah, well, it's probably like something I would continuously say to myself all the time. Like if I was like debating doing a gym session or going out in the pitch, that I'd be thinking like, what am I like? Do I want to be fit when it comes to the first match in league, or do I want to be feeling like this when it comes to league? So maybe like that kind of behind my mind. I also like just drag people with me. So sometimes like maybe I'm not feeling it, or I'm really, really lucky. I've two like fantastic club mates on the Fermanagh team. So we have S&C that we have to go away and do ourselves maybe 2-3 times a week. So we are constantly on each other's backs that we have to do it. So it's like maybe keeping accountable that way, and just trying to include as many people as possible, that they're not maybe going out and doing the work by themselves, or even just checking in them. Well, did you get this done? I need to go out and do it. Do you want to come with? Or stuff like that kind of, I felt like really helped me. It's just maybe having them conversations with people. People are obviously like feeling the same as you. So yeah, sometimes just dragging somebody else with you.
Yeah, in the psychology of exercise, I think you've hit something very important there. The buddy system, or having somebody to go for, maybe in your case, Lisa, when you were on the road back after having kids, just to go for a walk or a short jog when you were, when your body felt up to it again. How important is that, and how does that feed into then the overall elite system of, that accountability piece that Shannan talks about? Because obviously you're accountable for your own performance, but you can't rely on the accountability of others. They have to be doing their own stuff themselves.
Yeah, like for myself now, like when it comes to on an individual basis, the different indicators for me are really important. So like for myself now, there's a lot of different factors that came into play when I was returning after having kids. Your physical health and all these different things, you have to get yourself checked first and make sure that you're in shape to go back. So working with a good S&C coach there was really important for me, and just really slowly easing myself back in and seeing the slow improvements then, even tracking what I was lifting, tracking the targets that I was meeting in those months was really important and a massive motivator for me, because it does happen fairly quick if you are consistent with it, especially when it comes to, I find this, the strength and conditioning side of it. Besides that then, I suppose, like every season after I returned, or every month after I returned, should I say, the fitness was showing, it was coming, and we're very lucky. I don't know, in Galway we have a Cone Cup league. It's a league without any county players in it, and so we played that. We entered a junior team and a senior team into that the year before last, and we entered a senior team in this year. So there was games every week almost for the first couple of months. So knowing that those games are going to be coming early, and knowing that you weren't going to be just training on the pitch 3 times a week, you knew you were working towards something. So for myself then, I knew that I had to put in that little bit of extra work before returning, because we're going and training with 18, 19-year-old girls who are playing college football, some of them with intercounty setups, and you have to be able to keep up. So yeah, that was the challenge for me. That was my motivator. I did not want to get left behind, in a very competitive training setup.
Yeah, absolutely. And Shannan, you talk about a very good S&C coach there. So you're obviously going to be set targets by the S&C coach. There'll be individual programs, etc. So that's keeping you accountable as well, isn't it? That okay? Lisa talks about that there's an obvious feeling, yourself when you're getting fitter, but there are markers as well that will enable you to say, yeah, I went from X to Y in a set period of time. I hit my goals. Therefore, it stands to reason that I'm getting fitter. So the importance of an S&C coach, and one that recognises the individual demands of each player, how important is that, Shannan?
Oh, so important. Well, S&C's can only come into our panel over in the past few years, and I even find the difference just in the team is crazy. Like strength wise, speed wise, but so important. Like nearly, I think you find yourself maybe always saying like, "Oh, I don't think I'm fit. Like I don't think I'm getting fitter," sort of things like that. So like I always find it good that like testing was done at the start, and then testing was done at the end, and it was even good to see like if you hadn't improved, like are you pushing yourself, sort of thing, and that you're like able to keep accountable that way, even just to yourself. And like a lot of the time, like our tracking isn't like showed to anybody or anything. That's kind of just for our own thing. And we would every so often then meet, all together in the gym, and then you'd nearly see somebody else, lifting heavier than you, and you're thinking, oh my God, I nearly need to up it, sort of thing. So it's actually really good to have that person in place. Or I was coming and lifting a weight, and Cian, our strength conditioning coach, was coming over and saying, Shannan, you need to be lifting double that, and it was just maybe good to hear it come from somebody else that like you needed to be better, you need to be stronger, you need to be lifting heavier. So no, it's good to know that there's somebody there that knows what he's doing. And Cian's has he played previously for Fermanagh as well, so it's nice to know that he's like a Gaelic background and all as well.
Yeah, it's massively important. Eilish, you give me a very detailed list of bullet points before we come on, which were all very, very helpful. So we talked about focusing the show on the two players from their varying perspectives in different times of the year. I think we've touched on that, the varying approaches to training at this time of the year. We delved into motivations. We've also looked at the motivation, for example, Lisa, at this time of the year, looking forward to a big final and how you rekindle that in the new year. And Lisa's very honestly talked about how difficult it can be to get back into it. Shannon's talked about the beginning of pre-season and how that looks for her right now. And maybe just to finish it, and for Lisa and Shannan, how do you structure your training at this time of the year? And feel free, any of you, to pick up on this, outside of the group sessions, gym, running, etc. How do you structure that? Does life take over at this time of the year to a certain extent, and you try and get it in when you can, or do you have it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that's it, there's no deviation from that? What does that look like? Who's happy to pick up the baton there? Lisa, go on.
Yeah, no, sorry. Well, yeah, for myself, I kind of tend to stick. We obviously have our 3 sessions per week, and they're pretty intensive sessions, pretty long sessions. So for myself, there's some weeks where I will fit in a gym session if we're training Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. I used to find that Thursday morning would probably be a good day for that. I wouldn't try to do anything in between the Sunday and Tuesday sessions, just for recovery wise. So Thursday mornings I used to find was good for fitting in the strength session. But there were some weeks there where I would drop it all together, and maybe opt for something like yoga on a Wednesday evening, just to limber out and stretch, depending on how heavy the week was. For us in Championship this year in September, it was 4 weekends in a row, and then we had a break before the county final. So it depended on the week, but tending to stick with the Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, and then slotting in a gym or a mobility session somewhere in around the Wednesday, Thursday time. For me, that's what worked best for me personally.
Okay, and Shannan?
Yeah, we would have a very jam-packed week at the minute, just on the run up to Christmas. So like we train pitch on Monday, gym Tuesday, pitch Wednesday, Thursday gym, Friday pitch. And it's not there's no really handy trainings in there or handy gym sessions at all. It's pretty intense. So any off time then I have the weekend is probably like same as Lisa, like mobility, just relaxing, going out for a walk, nothing too strenuous, just for recovery.
Yeah, okay. And it's a good, you took the last word out of my mouth there, and you might finish off on this, Eilish, and knowing this inside out as well. We've talked about training, we've talked about loads, we've talked about intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation, and how sometimes it can dip from time to time. Recovery is a massive piece.
Yeah, I think recovery is probably nearly the toughest out of any of it, because sometimes it's hard to get your motivation, but then actually some of the time you're nearly too motivated or you want to do too much. And obviously the likes of the setups that the girls are in are top class, whether a club level or a county level. So there's maybe people that can monitor that in some way in terms of your training load, but yeah, sometimes you're always trying to find that little bit extra, or get that little bit more, particularly as Shannon's describing, if you've had maybe a loss in one year and you're going to the next year, you're always trying to get that extra little bit of fitness or that extra little bit of strength or improve something on the pitch. And it's very difficult, to fit all that in as a player into your life with all the other things that are going on around it, whether it's your job, your studies, your family life. So yeah, I think the importance of recovery is something that can't be underestimated as well. And I think that needs to be measured correctly as well at the different times of the year. There's different points of the year where you maybe are going a little bit heavier, as Shannon's described, obviously in pre-season. But I'm sure, Lisa, particularly in the run-up to this week and the weekend that she has ahead of her, her training schedule, I'm sure, is not looking like Shannon's is at the moment. Both are equally important. Luckily for Lisa, I know which side I definitely rather be honest, whether it's pre-season or the very end of the season of that. So it's yeah, I think it's all around making sure that you can kind of retain that motivation throughout the season as well, because as players you can only do so much for so long in order to optimize that performance.
Absolutely. And Lisa, we could devote another show, I think, and as a daddy of 3 here, to sleep and how it can fluctuate from time to time. So we might pick up on that one another time. Eilish, I'll leave the last word to you. It's great to have you on board. It's great to have Lisa on board as well. We wish her well at the weekend, and Shannan as well. Best wishes in 2024. And we'll take this opportunity as well to wish everybody a happy new year, because again, and without wanting to confuse people, when they're watching this, it will be the new year. So best wishes to everyone on the festive season, we'll call it that. Eilish, I'll leave the last word to you.
Yeah, just again, thanks Jackie for you to hosting, but mainly obviously thank you to the two girls for giving us, I think, a brilliant insight into their training schedules, and I think some of the realities as well of training at this time of year, because as players we know that it's not always the easiest thing to kind of retain that motivation, and that can kind of dip and I suppose fluctuate throughout the season. But yeah, really fascinating to obviously get insight into, I suppose, the way the girls structure that and continue to deal with some of the barriers as well. So just thanks a million, and hopefully players at all levels will find this educational to some degree.
Absolutely, Ed. We might come back to this topic because it's fascinating. You could talk all day about it. We've been here for about half an hour now, and I'd say we're only scratching the tip of the surface, as the old saying goes. So listen, Eilish Ward, Lisa Finnegan and Shannan McQuade, wishing you well, and thanks for coming on today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you.